Good evening. Is anybody there? Shout out in the comments if you're here. I'm here. And it's good to be back. Sorry about last week. Thornall's here. Hi, Thornall. Yeah, sorry about last week. I was out during the day, most of the day, running all over town. Colton's here. Hi, Colton. And it was really hot here. So by the time I got home, I realized I was exhausted. I was wrecked. And Jeroen's here. Hi, Jeroen. Ursa's here. Hello, Ursa. And yeah, no, I got home and I was just like, I so don't feel like doing anything like this tonight. So sorry about last week. But this week I'm fresh. And it's cooler here, which is nice. It's I feel like kind of a useless Australian complaining about the temperature in Berlin, where it never gets above 35 at the very most. And last weekend, when I felt like it was so damn hot, it was not, I think it was 30 maybe, or just over 30, which wasn't that bad. Rogue's here. Good to see ya. Caro's here. Welcome back to the pub. Yeah, no, I'm a useless Australian because I used to survive without any real problem with summers where it was over 40 every day. And here in the summer, it rarely gets above 30. And when it does, I feel like I'm dying. I didn't get my Malazan books, but I did buy them. I ordered yesterday. Yes. Thanks for asking. I was super excited. I was with things like this. It's always kind of like, is this going to work? How many do they have? And I'm in tier 2, not in tier 1, so I didn't get the first go at it. But I did it exactly at noon yesterday, and it worked. No problem. So I have all 3 coming sometime. They said they're going to send in 2 batches. The first one in September, the second one in December, and then the third one in February or something. Look who it is. Evie.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. I can stay for a little bit because then I have a discussion about Sense and Sensibility at 3. So.
No problem. I have been thinking of you a lot lately because I am reading Vanished Birds.
Hopefully, good thoughts. Not like, how dare she tell me.
Always good thoughts when I think of you. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, so far I'm liking it, but it's a very different book from Spirit Cuts Through Water.
It is.
It's, if I was, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but if I was expecting anything like Spirit Cuts Through Water, that's not what it is. It's nothing like Spirit Cuts Through Water, except that he knows how to use words in both. Yeah, I am in chapter 4, I think. I'm about 140 pages in.
Oh, so you got to Nakajima's chapter.
Past, yeah. They've arrived at the Pelican. And a bit has already happened on the Pelican.
Pelican! Pelican!
Yeah.
Pelican! Now you understand.
Now I get it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Chadia is also here and also says, yes, very different. Yeah, no, nothing at all like Spirit Cuts Through Water. Dornall says you're looking lovely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I haven't brushed my hair today, so.
Oh my God, neither have I.
You have no idea how much I just want to just.
I highly recommend it. I don't know if I would recommend it for you.
I've had my hair buzzed before.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. No, I actually absolutely love it. I used to have a very cool barber, but that I would always forget to go to and always end up looking a bit rough and messy by the time I actually got to him. And then I'd get there and feel relieved. But now it's just like, oh, I need a haircut. I'll just go in the bathroom for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Obviously, like with COVID, when COVID first started, like it had been almost 2 years since I had seen my hairdresser. Right. And so when I finally saw her, went back, she's like, "Oh my God, your hair's gotten so long." And I was like, I know. It's because I haven't had it cut by you in almost 2 years.
That happens. It's bizarre.
It's like hair grows or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Mine doesn't. Actually, I'm surprised at how fast it grows. Like I keep thinking I can leave it a bit longer, and then I go in there and I actually had it a couple of weeks ago that my clipper stalled. Like and just totally stopped. I mean, it's cordless, so I just had to recharge it. But yeah. Rogue says he needs to restart. Spear cuts through water. Didn't go well with Wirtz's Curse of Mithras.
From everything that I've heard about Wirtz's prose, it's definitely very dense and takes a lot of effort. So
it does.
That's a bad choice, Rogue. Bad choice.
Yes. Look who it is. He's an unidentifiable program. Yeah, exactly. This may or may not actually be Brian.
I have been moved to a secure location.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta robotize your voice, Brian.
Right. For authors that may, disagree with my commentary on their books, for my own protection, we felt that this was probably best. This was best.
Welcome, Brian. Good to see you.
Hello. Yeah, I heard you talking about temperatures, and I decided I had to jump in because, I'm not smart enough to know Celsius, but I do know Fahrenheit. And I was just helping my dad in his backyard. It's about 93 Fahrenheit, and the dew point is like 72. So it's hugely muggy tropical dew points in the 90s. It was gross. Yeah. And as somebody who prefers minus 30, yes, that is why I'm here under no lights and hiding from authors and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, what I was talking about. Yeah, exactly. Cut off here so that you can't see the sweat stains.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, last weekend, what I was talking about, it was 86 in freedom units, as Jimmy Nutt says.
Freedom units.
Yeah. So 30 is 86. Which I mean, it isn't actually that hot. I was so disappointed with myself. I spent the whole day sweating and bitching about the temperature, and then I was like, it's only 30. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's never so much the temperature as it is the humidity and the dew points. Because I hate the oppressive dew points. My sister lives in Florida most of the year, and they never get down there.
Yeah, Florida's a jungle. I half grew up in Florida. My dad and my stepmother lived down there, and yeah, it's a jungle. It's crazy.
No thanks. I would absolutely prefer my tundra up here.
Yeah. Rabin is here. Tori's here. Hi, Tori. Yeah, this was a big week for me. It was a Brian and Tori week for me, which was pretty cool.
It was Minnesota week on your channel.
Exactly. It was Minnesota week. That didn't occur to me. Yeah, exactly. In in the Bell Tube time zone.
Yes.
Brian's in witness protection. Rogue went into Spear as blind as possible. I don't know how that's possible considering how much Evie was talking about it since
to be fair,
the first time she read it.
I try to be as vague as possible. Like I try to set expectations, but also be vague because you can't really describe the book. I mean,
it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really about the experience, whether you like, yeah.
Yeah. Daco is here. Daco, join us on screen if you like. You are always welcome. Yeah, if you're talking about Ireland, 30 is pretty hardcore. It's also pretty hardcore in Berlin. Like really, really, really insanely hot in Berlin is like 35, which is 95 in freedom units. And I've just gotten used to it. I've been out of Australia for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. 30 is like early spring in Sydney. And humidity, as Daniel's saying, humidity is, I mean, Sydney's subtropical, so the humidity could be worse, but it's pretty bad already. Larry's here. Hi, Larry. Yeah, you especially don't want to be in Florida since AP moved there.
Right. God, I really want one of those robot voiceizers now.
You've kind of got one. I mean, I assume it's just going through the mic on your laptop, and it's not quite completely modifying your voice, but it's a bit rougher.
It's almost there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I definitely don't have my microphone plugged in. I don't have my camera plugged in.
Yeah.
This is my Sunday pub hideout. This is my back of the Sunday pub in the darkened corner.
I'm glad you listened to me. I was hoping, like, after we had our chat, For Whom the Bell Tolls, that you would just get over yourself and get on camera for the pub. You don't have to make a big production out of it. I do it a lot more simply than I do when I do a proper video recording.
Right.
As well.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I'm goofing around with the positioning of where my laptop is literally sitting on my lap on my couch.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. The pub is here to be relaxed and informal and cash. Exactly.
As what a pub is supposed to be.
Exactly. Daniel says, despite all the buzz, especially amongst people like us, he has no clue what Spear is actually about.
Success.
Which is not bad. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know either. I mean, I think Evie's done an awesome job of hyping the book with giving nothing away, other than the structure might be original. That's the only thing that I know is it's got an original structure, and Evie loves it. And for as many times as I've heard about that book, I literally know nothing about it, which is great.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start Evie's book about Irish horses pretty soon here too. So, yeah.
What's Evie's book about Irish horses?
I mean, it's Icelandic horses, but it's all right. It's close enough. One letter off.
I got a letter off in my TBR once, and so now it's permanently Horses of Ireland instead of Iceland.
Okay, I see. Icelandic horses. I actually have a friend. Where does she live? She lives near Dusseldorf, and she has 2 Icelandic horses.
That's cool.
Yeah, the sort of shorter ones. They're not really ponies, but they kind of look like ponies to me because I'm big, and she's really small, so they're like her scale, and really, really cute. But yeah.
My brother-in-law texted me. He's like, "Oh, are you watching the equestrian stuff on the Olympics?" And I'm like, "What?" Because for whatever reason, my TV system makes it really hard to find like what events are actually going on. I was like, all I see is like gymnastics and beach volleyball. He's like, oh, it's like a hurdling thing. And so I'm looking, I'm like, oh, it's the cross country finals. It's eventing finals. So, and they're doing cross country. And so I was just texting him, I'm like, cross country and jumping scares the crap out of me. Just even watching it, because that's where the majority of the injuries happen to both human and horse.
And horses. Yeah.
So
Look who it is.
Good morning, everybody.
Jerry.
How are we all today?
Morning. Pretty good.
Very.
Yeah, good to hear it.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you. Half my face is still numb after dental surgery, but I'm not spilling my drinks and I can talk.
Very good.
This is always a winner.
And you're keeping the drink on this side of your face, or
I
the
am,
opposite.
but it has been a few days now. We're on day, what are we? It's Monday morning here, so almost 3 whole days. So 4 whole days. So Thursday morning, Friday morning, Saturday morning. Yeah, nearly 4 whole days since the surgery. So yay.
Cool.
To your question, Mitch, I actually don't know. I think they give them flowers or something that they put on the horses' necks. I don't know.
Hopefully they
We are
don't actually
into
pin
that.
a medal to the horse.
Well, yeah, that would be a little awkward.
That
Yeah.
would be mean.
Yeah. But maybe
But
they
they
have
do get something, I think. They get like
big
the wreath
bands.
of flower things.
Yeah, that's,
Oh,
I'm,
yeah.
like,
That's
mixing
what
that up with
those
something else.
horseshoe wreaths are for.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is putting around a horse's
Maybe
neck.
I'm thinking of like horse racing in England where they do like Royal Ascot and things.
Mm.
That would
I
be a
don't know.
nice thing if they don't do
They
it
also
already at
do
the
that for-
Olympics.
They also do that for like the derbies and stuff, like Kentucky Derby, Churchill.
Okay, there you go.
But
Do you know, I completely forgot the Olympics was even on until I turned on my computer this morning and Google was going, "It's the Olympics." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I only was aware at all that it was the Olympics because somebody on social media somewhere posted something about having to turn the Olympics off because of something. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know like they were on. Okay.
Like I'm gonna at the end of the pub, I'm gonna have to go and see what's on where and sort of go, "Oh, what can I watch?" Because it's always exciting. It's like, wow, look what people are capable of. Some of them
listen,
aren't even on drugs.
Right.
Some of them
But-
aren't.
I will say, it already peaked with the opening ceremonies. Also, hi Fitzy. It peaked with the opening ceremonies
Oh,
with
look at that
Celine
face.
Dion her performance. Like that was nothing
She
can
is
get better than that. That was one of the most beautiful performances I've ever seen in my life. Like, and that's without the context of knowing what Celine Dion has been going through for the past, 6-7 years. It's
I
just-
definitely don't know that, or did I see her performance? But
Oh my god. Okay, so here's the context. I'm gonna go all Celine Dion on it, okay?
Settle in.
Yes, so she performed the end of the opening ceremonies for obviously the Paris Olympics. She performed Edith Piaf's Himmel l'Amour. Yeah. And Celine Dion has been going through what
A lot
is
of
now
health issues.
diagnosed as stiff person syndrome, to the point that she had
what
to
is
cancel.
that?
So it's a neurological
Weird.
disorder where her muscles will just start spasming uncontrollably.
Oh, damn.
I still haven't watched the documentary, but like there was a clip that was put on the internet of her experiencing one of these spasms, and it amplified, and it started in I think like her foot or her bottom of her leg, and her body just freaked out and she just started spasming all over, and she couldn't talk, she couldn't move, like it was
It's so painful.
Fitz.
Fitz is not amused. But long
It's just
story
like, okay,
short,
over it.
No,
Well,
my lamp was on the thing that she usually uses as a stair to get up there.
Ah,
So-
I see.
so long story short, Celine Dion's been going through some health stuff, and people thought she would never sing again. She's determined to sing again, and dadgummit, she's sang again, and it was
Okay.
absolute, like, she's a stunning, gorgeous, she's the greatest vocalist of all time, in my opinion. And that she came back to singing, and she pushed herself, like, to sing again. She worked really hard to be able to sing again, and I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
With all of that context, it's much more amazing.
It
Yeah.
always is with that kind of carry on. You're like,
Fitz
wow.
demonstrating her lack of compassion for Celine Dion's situation.
Because cat.
Yeah, because
Right, Fitz
who
is like,
gives a damn?
have you seen me jump? Have you seen me jump up on a high
Yeah.
level?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
great
Watch
about
watch
Celine,
this.
But watch
Forget
my
the
jumping
Olympics
skills.
gymnastics.
It was actually funny this afternoon. I often sit exactly here with my feet up on the desk that's in front of me when I'm reading.
Yeah.
And Fitz, for some reason, like Fitz can get up there, no problem. But for some reason, if I'm at my desk, the only way she can get
Of
up
course.
there is by jumping on my desk and walking across me.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I moved my desk a little bit recently. And she got up here, she got on my lap, and then she was like, I'll just go over to this little cupboard thing over here. I'll just go over there.
You've moved it.
And she just sort of like, you could tell her brain just didn't quite get it. She was
Yeah,
like,
she's like,
it's too far. Is it
the
too
math
far?
doesn't
Yeah,
work
actually, it's
anymore.
too far. Is it though? Really too far? Yeah, it's too damn far. And she just did that like 5 or 6 times and then jumped down.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That's George. With every time I'm on a stream, she's like, "Oh, I have multiple ways that I could jump directly onto this thing to get my food, but no, I'm gonna jump on this thing.
I'm gonna go
walk
in front of you.
screen.
Of
Has
course.
to let the world know that I'm here.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
poor old Motzi, I have to. He's not a jumper. He's old, and he's actually on the footstool that I've had to put next to my bed because he can't get straight to the bed. So,
Oh,
and he's been out. He was out for half an hour on his morning constitutional, and it was raining, so he's clearly cold because he's stopped halfway and he's on the footstool going, "This will do. This is
no.
fine."
I'm starting to realize one of the downsides of having a cat that's about 6 kilos now, which is like 13 pounds in freedom units.
Freedom, USA.
Is that a MAGA hat you're wearing, Brian? It's dark.
That's
I
why.
can't see.
That's why I'm so dark out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's channeling his inner Hades.
I
today.
don't want my politics to run into the pub.
Fair
So
enough.
this is an Adidas hat.
Yeah, well, it's so dark.
Wow.
It could be bright red and say,
There
You gotta represent the Germans, you
It's
know.
Adidas.
There you go.
Adidas.
See, if I just hold the laptop just like this, now you can see me. It's actually
Exactly.
me.
Come
it's
out
not-
from the shadows,
Stay like
Brian.
that.
It's not Minton in disguise.
Right.
Ah,
It's some
fair
old
enough.
guy in a hat. I don't know. It
Right?
Could be
Minton.
anyone.
Could easily be
Yeah.
Minton in disguise.
Yeah.
He could-
Maybe even Philip.
for
Brian,
sure.
Brian, you're just doing the early 2000s like goth. You just need a goth emo look, and then you've
Right.
got it. You've got it.
Absolutely.
I am there. Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Fitz
I know-
has been. I bought a as you do when you get a cat. I bought a cat tree.
Yes, which I'm guessing Fitz has never yet set foot on.
No, actually, she loves it. Like when she was like 6 months ago, when she was only 4 kilos or 4.5 kilos, she used to sleep on the top of it. But for quite a while now, she's been using it as a stairway to get onto the bookshelves,
Right.
which allows her to run all the way around the living room.
Mhm.
But because she weighs 6 kilos, 13 pounds, she jumps down from the bookshelves onto the top of this cat tree, and the cat tree is starting to fall apart. It's literally breaking. There are wooden parts of it that are coming unstuck, and the whole thing is starting to
So it's a
Pull
quick trip to
apart.
the hardware store for some L brackets to just
Yeah.
brace it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Kev is here,
Yes.
and he
And I
says
saw
Terry
Kev
is
had a new
here.
video. I have also emerged from the shadows, not unlike Brian. But yes,
Except
To,
you've actually
I
got
think-
a light.
true.
I think it was Jerome that asked what we were reading.
He
Where are
did
you?
quite a while ago. There we go. What is
Yes.
everyone reading? And
So technically, I'm in the midst of this.
oh,
The Mad Ship reread.
again.
But I
Which I should also be
also
reading.
started Parable of the Sower by
Oh, cool.
Octavia E. Butler, and it's
Nice.
one. Octavia E. Butler is amazing. Like, I already knew
Yeah.
this because I've read stuff by her before, but I didn't realize that it's written in journal entries, diary entries, and I'm like, holy crap, this is
That's
awesome.
your favorite kind.
Apparently, so at least when done well, it can be done poorly.
Cool.
Madship good.
Madship very
is
good.
Madship
Yeah.
very
From
good.
Kev.
saying
From
that
Kev.
Madship good is good. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm reading
Darktown.
Darktown by Palmer Pickering, and this is sort of like she sent
I've
me
heard
this
good
book.
things about Palmer Pickering. Really good things.
She sent me this book because she knows I do a lot of lit RPG on the channel, and it's not it's interesting. It's called a fantasy lit RPG adventure. I don't know if it's super lit RPG or not. It's almost more like game lit, which I'll do a video on, so I don't waste everybody's time here. But it's an entertaining book for sure, and it reads really quick. And what I love, I think, most about this book, I don't know if she's gonna dislike me saying this or not, but I think my favorite thing is about every other chapter. There's a full black and white illustration, which is
Oh, lovely.
really nice, and it basically just shows you a visual of the chapter that you just read, and
Cool.
it's really, really well done. And you don't see this just on a basic book like that. They might have a cool cover, maybe they got some illustration on the inside or whatever, but yeah, I mean,
it's also rare, honestly, even in fancy editions. It's rare for them to get the illustrations in the right place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I've read books with illustrations, and you're like, what is this illustration for? And then you read 3 or 4 pages further, and you realize what the picture was for. It was a spoiler.
Yeah.
Here's
one thing
Matt
that was
chasing
glorious.
across
lovely.
across a canyon.
Cool.
Matt is chasing Fitz. So I'll finish this probably, I don't know, the next hour or so.
Because
not
Empire
bad.
of the Vampire is all fully illustrated, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Just every copy has these black and white pen drawings, and so beautiful, so beautiful.
Hi, Nico.
Hello.
Nico's
I actually read a whole book
real-life friend.
after I spoke to you yesterday, Matt. A whole book.
Wow. Okay, so that's like in the last 20 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like book 7 in a series, so I didn't have any world building to do. It was just like, okay, falling into this world easy peasy, and knocked that out last night before I went to sleep.
I'm assuming.
I'm sorry.
Dresden.
No, it was the latest Nalini Singh in her Trinity series, Primal Mirror.
It just came out, didn't it?
Yep, literally arrived on my Kindle like 4 days ago.
Nice.
So
cool.
Yes. So now I'm back waiting.
I have a Palmer Pickering problem.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. A little alliteration. No, it's not a problem with Palmer Pickering. She seems really, really nice. She sent me her previous book, I think it was, Heliotrope.
Yeah.
And
That's the one I've heard of.
I despise the cover. I just hate it. It's
in all fairness,
really bad. No, it's
I
really
don't like
bad.
the name of the main character in this book at all. Temerity. It's like I could have picked a million other names for the protagonist, and it would have literally been the millionth name I picked.
Hey, at least it's not Pug, because apparently Pug is a notoriously bad name.
Well, I mean,
why is Pug a bad name?
A child Pug.
Isn't that from Magician? Raymond?
It is Magician. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like I said, I got over it. It's a good enough book for sure. I'm definitely going to read the follow-up book, which, it hasn't been written yet, but I mean, it's a good start. And for somebody that's trying to write some game lit, I think she works in the video game industry. You can kind of tell with some of the stuff that's in the book. So I don't know. I don't know. I'll be talking about it in the review probably on Friday when I do the monthly recap.
Nice.
So
But I had no bad books this month other than the Smith. Well, I shouldn't say that.
The month
I
is
had-
quite over. Don't tempt fate.
Yeah.
I'm reading this, which so far is pretty
Oh.
good.
I liked
Um,
Vanished Birds lots.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Evie when she came on. I was like, I love The Spear Cuts Through Water, as probably everybody knows. I haven't been quite as vocal as Evie, but I do own 3 copies of it. So, you know,
I
mean,
will just say, Matt,
2 of which Evie gave me.
I will just say to interrupt you, if there's anyone that tries to say that they're more of a fan of
Oh, I know. No, I like
Spear Cuts Through Water than me, there will be blood shed, and
the
it won't be
spear.
my
The Spear Cuts Through
So-
Crown is yours, no question.
Okay, I'm just
Um,
saying. Just saying.
But I really liked The Spear Cuts Through Water, partially because it's so weird. Like the structure is weird, like weird as in just stuff you don't get every day. This is much more of an everyday narrative. It's a much more normal narrative as far as the structure and that kind of thing goes. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm reading. I'm not really reading. I'm rereading part of Fire and Blood because I've been watching House of the Dragon, and I keep thinking, is this like the
that
book?
happen?
Because I have a crap memory. So I actually went back to the section that this series is based on, which is not that it's like 150
7
pages
chapters.
or something, or it's
sod all.
not that much. But I wanted to reread it because I've already read it, so I can't really spoil the show for myself. But I just wanted to sort of refresh my memory.
Yeah, I do quite a lot of watching of content around A Song of Ice and Fire. I've been a mess. This is how I found BookTube. It's why I came to BookTube in a different way than most people, because I found Jimmy because of Jimmy's love of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
And that hooked me like a side door. But
Are you also watching Bend the Knee every week now?
I have that podcast now. I literally have it bookmarked on my browser. It's like,
Right.
yep, okay,
Yep.
see what the guys are talking about.
Yeah.
And I've been really astonished by the number of people who have gone, this is not like the book, they're doing it wrong. And I'm sitting here going, the book contradicts itself about what happened. So
There isn't anything
what are you
concrete
complaining
in the whole
about?
book. Like there
Hello?
is a winding
Oh,
narrative with lots of maybes. That's
and
the book.
possible. It's like
Yeah.
we don't
I feel
actually
like that's what
know
history books
happened.
are. Like,
Exactly. That's what Fire and
Precisely.
Blood is. It's a history
Yeah,
book.
they've gone, okay, we've got
And-
journals from a guy who was writing about the guy who was there, and we've got documents from the court jester who we know we can't really take too
Who we know is
seriously,
crazy
but
and
was there.
exaggerates everything.
And some of it might be true, some of it might not. And I love it because they've got a complete story with really only the beats to work to, because
Yeah.
those are the things that are known to history. These things
Yeah.
happened. We know that happened, and then something went on, and then this happened.
Yeah.
And they're just building a different story for what might have happened
Exactly.
between those two events.
Look
And
who's
they're
here.
doing an amazing job.
Hey,
Jocko.
Hey, folks, what's going
Welcome
on?
to the pub. Good to see you, man.
hey.
I reckon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm busy basically just going, I'm loving House of the Dragon.
House
so
of the Dragon
much.
so good.
Oh,
Oh my god.
so
I don't-
much.
I have not watched
I don't
it.
understand like
Neither have I.
everything I've heard anybody screaming about that they don't like in the show. I'm just like, you're an idiot. Shut up. It's
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
like at
They're
the
doing
end of
such
end
a
of
good job.
the latest episode, there is a female on female kiss. I won't say more
Oh, and
than
it's
that.
actually really well done.
And it's super well done, and it totally makes
The
sense with
tension is there.
characters and everything. And everybody went berserk.
Oh, everyone was like, this doesn't happen in the book. And I'm like, did you even
The-
read it?
The entire internet lost
The
their shit
subtext
over
is
the latest
there.
episode, and it's so
Gay
stupid.
people world over have gone, we told you it was there. We told you it was in the book.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly. So no,
Crazy.
it's really really good.
yeah, I'm
It's
loving
really,
it
really
so
good.
much.
As far as
Yeah.
representation, I mean, like Darko, you should watch it.
Oh, you
There
totally
is-
should.
There is an entire family that they decided, okay, these are black people.
And
They're
at
not
the moment, they're
explicitly
the richest
anything.
people in Westeros.
Yeah, exactly. One of the
so
most
they're big.
powerful
They're
families
really
around.
important.
And I'm
And-
assuming
Married
the
into
internet is
royalty.
really mad about that. I'm assuming.
The internet lost their shit
they-
about the
they-
Valarians.
they-
Yeah.
I love it.
Because they're black and
Yeah,
they weren't
the
black in the
promos
book.
came
and
out
it's
and I was like, oh, this
actually,
is going to make so many storylines even better.
yeah.
Oh,
There's
it's so exciting.
nothing in the books that says they're white. Like
Right.
they're not explicitly described as any kind of color.
Nope.
But people totally lost their shit because there's this whole group of people who are black. And the son of the head of that family is gay.
Yeah.
And there's other gay people in the show and everything. It's a really nice, it doesn't
They've
feel
done
like
it
it's
really well.
grandstanding about
No.
those issues. It's just like
Yeah.
character's gay.
Nobody has a neon arrow going, look, representation.
Yeah.
I had no
Exactly.
idea. Now I
just-
have to watch
yeah.
it. I forgot to watch
You
it.
totally do.
And it's
So
it's
good.
really damn good.
So
Yeah.
the only
All of season
uh,
1 is a prequel.
Yeah.
Okay,
the
all
only,
of season
only
1
thing
set up.
that I've seen about House of the Dragon is I saw
Hot
a
D.
Instagram thing of comparing sizes of dragons with a
Yeah.
human, and there's like a massive one. I'm like, holy crap! So
Yeah.
Vegas, she's an old girl. She's huge.
Vega is
They've done a really good job with her.
terrifyingly large.
She looks old.
Yeah.
You know, she's not just big. They've given her that big droopy wattle
Yeah.
that people get as they age, and they've
She
given her
looks like
skin that
she
sort
looks
of
like
hangs and-
landscape.
oh, she's so great.
Yeah. There's a couple of scenes like at the beginning of the show, you don't really know that much clearly
scale.
about the
Mm.
dragons. And then there's a fight where one of the younger dragons gets it on with Vagar, which is the oldest, largest dragon.
Mm.
And there's this one shot where you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's a bit like the
It's
beginning of Star
shocking.
Wars, where you see a spaceship and you're like, "Oh, that's a huge spaceship," and then the big one
The
comes.
Star
over and you're like,
Destroyer pulls in
"Oh,
over it. Yeah.
no, that first ship wasn't big at all." You know, it very much that scale of difference in the size of these dragons, and it was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah.
I got.
I've
chills
never
watching
seen
this
Star
movie first.
Wars, unfortunately.
You've never seen Star Wars?
No, none of them.
Oh, I might have to kick you.
Okay, so
Damn.
that thing I commented to you about, that Darko, that's going to happen soon.
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
are even in the same age group.
Huh, I'm sorry.
I said, are we even in the same age group? Because
No.
even
Yeah, I
I know
think-
what Star Wars is.
I never,
Oh.
never watched it.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know why. I think things that came out before I was born, I didn't really get into. I guess.
And it is a movie from the 70s. You know,
I
Yeah.
saw it when it came out.
Really-
My parents took me when I was 7 to the theater.
Brian and I are about the same age, so yeah,
You're
me
only
too.
a teeny bit older than me, then, Brian.
I
Only a
cried.
teeny.
I cried. I was so scared in the creature cantina with all the
Oh, yeah, I
monsters.
bet.
I thought they were all monsters. And I was 7. I
They
started
were pretty
bawling.
freaky looking.
I didn't-
Yeah.
Okay. I was a,
And
I
it
was
was
a
the
little
moods they were
older.
looking for. They were looking for, you know, a bit of a dodgy kind
That
of
it-
art
that it's
where
weird
anything
and-
could happen. So
7-year-old Brian was not happy in the cantina.
I think I was
Oh,
8 or
no.
9 when I went to the cinema and saw Star Wars. I didn't have that reaction, but I had that reaction to Jaws. My mother was
parents
very
didn't take me to the
unwise
movies
and
for
took
that.
me to Jaws. And like years later, I said to her, I was like, "What the fuck were
Why
you
would you do
thinking?
that?
Right.
Like, you took a 9-year-old to Jaws?" I ran out
Scarred for
crying.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I left
Yeah,
the
yeah.
theater.
I'm not surprised. No,
No.
my
I,
first theatre was The Jungle Book. That was the first time I went to the movies. Was The Jungle Book.
First time I went to the movies was Jurassic Park.
Oh, what a movie
Ooh,
experience on the
that's
big
wow.
screen!
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm
But
not
Darko, if you
sure.
do decide to watch Star Wars, just watch the prequel and the original series. Don't even bother with the sequel
Yeah,
series.
the final three.
The original
don't-
original
Really?
trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah, the original
Yeah, so the
trilogy.
one in the 70s and 80s. So
Yeah.
Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
It's weird. It's weird because the first
Okay.
movie to come out was the 4th of
Awful.
9, right? 4, 5, and 6 came out, and then years later, 1, 2, and 3 came out.
Yeah.
And years later, 7, 8, and 9 came out, and you only need to watch 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, because it's a complete story.
Excuse me, 1, 2, 3 is fantastic. Revenge of the Sith is the best
be
Star
fair-
Wars movie. Don't
Well,
act.
I'll fight you on
I
that
will
one.
What?
I will
No,
not-
Empire Strikes Back is the best one. Just
Yeah,
full stop.
Aaron
That
would agree
end.
with you, by the way.
Derry speaking truth over here.
Empire Man is where it's at.
Evie,
And the
Evie and Darko,
first
both
three are
you
good.
like haven't seen Star Wars and thinks anything outside of the original trilogy is the best one. I may
There
have
you go.
kicked
Evie
both of
is
you.
wrong. See,
Listen,
you're just wrong.
listen, I will
Just
just
wrong.
say that my husband, like the first date that we had, he kept dating me, and we wound up getting married after I said my favorite movie was Revenge of the Sith. My
So
favorite Star Wars
clearly,
movie.
you have other much awesomer aspects.
No, I
to your
can
character,
actually I
because
can
that's
fill
the
you in.
problem.
I can fill you in and tell you what that is. As a guy who has dated numerous women, finding a woman
you
that
even
even
know.
has an opinion on Star Wars is rare,
Good point.
right?
Although that
Even
might be
knows
an age
which
thing, 'cause
which
certainly
one
I
is
have
which. Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah.
I've had girlfriends where I'm like, you're hot and you're smart and you're funny, but you haven't seen
And you
Star
haven't
Wars. Are you open to correcting that? Like this is a relationship deciding question. Are you open to correcting that? Can I show you? Can we binge the first
Oh,
trilogy
well.
at least?
I have to say, I'm a bit like that with Lord of the Rings with people. Have you
Oh,
seen
yeah.
the movies? And if they haven't, I'm like, why not? They're amazing. Come on. These are a key element of my personality. I need you to watch them and love them so that I know you're okay. So yeah, you know.
Yeah, this is Nico, who's a real life friend, and his wife is also a real life friend. I know her. Yeah, I think you
Excellent.
made the right decision anyway, Nico, but I'm sure it was a close call.
Which one has
Yeah.
Darth Maul in it? Darth Maul is like the only
That's
character I
the-
really
the-
know. Which one?
That's the first three.
First of the prequel.
Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Phantom
So
Menace.
here's my argument and justification. Okay,
They're really good,
I'm-
that first trilogy.
I am not
Hindsight,
saying that.
pretty good.
I am not saying that 4, 5, and 6 is a bad trilogy. It's the original trilogy. It started everything. It's great. My argument is that
But-
the prequel trilogy, he had a start and an end in mind, and he knew where he was going with the entire arc. 4, 5, and 6, you cannot tell me that he had it planned from beginning to end, because he didn't.
Oh, he didn't. They've admitted in the years since that the twin issue was something they intended to have another person be, and then went, why? We have that character in the movie already. That can just be the twin. And then kind of went, it does make that thing we did already a little bit weird, but okay, we're not going to think about that. Keep going.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it already, if you've seen Star Wars and you haven't seen Fanboys, the movie Fanboys, watch
I've
the
not.
movie Fanboys. Oh my god. Okay, it's got
I haven't
Kristen
seen
Bell in it,
Fanboys.
and I am blanking on the other guy's name. But anyways, it was made in 2006, 2007. And yeah, so the whole premise of the movie is that they are trying to go to Skywalker Ranch to see
Okay.
Phantom Menace before it's even like the rough cut of Phantom Menace, because spoiler alert, it's actually in the premise. So like one of the characters turns out he's like
Terminally ill.
terminally ill, and he wants to see Phantom Menace. And Seth Rogen makes a cameo in there, and it's just so funny and so great, and oh my god, it's so good.
I still stand on my hill of certainty that the best fan film ever, and to be fair, even the Star Trek fans will say it's kind of one of ours, is Galaxy Quest. Galaxy Quest has got to be
Yeah.
the funniest parody
hilarious.
of any film ever. It
I-
is glorious.
I admit I do need to rewatch that, because I vaguely remember seeing it.
It
And
is
then
glorious.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
I need to rewatch it.
Oh, Matt, you must.
No,
You must.
It's
just
hilarious.
must.
It's hilarious.
Tim
I
Allen,
love that movie.
just in possibly one of his best roles. Sigourney Weaver poking fun at the genre that made her
Alan
who she
Rickman.
is. Alan
Yep,
Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Mhm.
Just
Wow,
Alan
okay.
Rickman. And Tony Shalhoub was in it. A very young Rainn Wilson is in it. Oh, so good.
Really?
So
Ray Wilson is
good.
in it? Oh, man,
I
have to
wasn't aware
rewatch
that
it.
all of those names were in it. Cool.
It's so good because it's oddly very respectful of the love people have for shows.
Right.
Because they're I mean, it begins at a con, basically.
Right.
And so they're like all these people in costumes and geeking out over the minor details in TV shows. But it's not mocking. It's just going, look, this is how much people love stuff.
This is exactly what these people are actually like, and they love it.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
And it's such a great movie.
Speaking
Great
of
movie.
Sigourney Weaver, I finally saw Alien and Aliens for the first time.
That
I
sounds
love
like it was
it.
recent.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I let you in the pub before you saw those?
Oh my God. They're amazing.
You never told me.
Yeah.
Otherwise
so
we
it was
wouldn't be
because
friends.
it was because of the Simon Jimenez interview. That he was like,
Wow.
oh, you should, if you haven't seen Alien, you should watch
need
it.
to.
You
You
definitely
really do.
should watch
So
it if you haven't watched it. But you've watched it. What did you think?
So I can see where he got inspired by Ripley's and Newt's relationship. In the second movie, the second movie's fine. It's fine. But the
It's
first
a James
movie,
Cameron movie.
the first movie though is
Amazing.
apparently I love like close circle mystery, but it's very isolated, very contained.
Claustrophobic kind of.
Yes,
Claustrophobic
and-
space monster horror.
yes, Jonesy.
And
oh my god, I
Alien was
love
the
Jones.
birth of it. Oh,
And-
such a good movie.
The first
Ian
movie
Holm-
is awesome. It's amazing.
Ian Holm
They recently,
is
last
so
year,
creepy. It's so
re-released it
Yes.
briefly in
Yes.
cinemas, and for the first time I got to watch it on the big screen, and oh my God, that was it. So
But-
good on the
But
big
like
screen
Rogue,
because you're
like
sitting in
Rogue
the
said,
dark. Woo-hoo.
don't watch Prometheus.
so
Well,
funny.
you can watch the
funny-
first half.
Funny story.
Yeah, but there's no point
Funny
because it's
story.
garbage.
So, but
Well, yeah,
funny story. I've seen Prometheus. I watched Prometheus before I'd
I
even
liked
seen
the
any of
first
the
half of
Alien
Prometheus.
movies. And because the Alien movies, like the thing in Alien, is so much in the zeitgeist, I
Yeah.
knew what was going to happen in Prometheus. I saw it in theaters, and I'm like, Alien's going to pop out of his body. And sure enough, that happened. So I knew like that was going to happen in Alien, but like, oh god,
You weren't
it's
ready.
so good.
You weren't ready, were you?
I mean,
Nobody's
especially
ready. You
it's
can know it's going to happen and still be like, oh.
it's a very different experience. Also, seeing it when it came out in the 80s,
And no one knew.
and having no idea about the world, about the aliens, about the face huggers and the chest,
terrifying.
and all that stuff. It was crazy.
It was
And it's
so-
also like I love the production design of it.
it's all practical, so it holds up beautifully
Yeah.
now, and it's like 40 something years old.
And also, like I mean, it took a page from Star Wars. Star Wars was the first science fiction where the world looked used.
Yeah.
It looked like
It wasn't
people
all
actually
shiny and
lived
Star
in
Trek,
the world.
yes.
It wasn't like
were truckers
antiseptic
in
white
space.
and everything was clean and
Yeah, they were
and
war, so
and
it was
Alien
rundown,
is
dirty,
exactly
and-
like that. It looks super messy and like what it would look like if you put a group of people in a very tight space for a long time and they couldn't go anywhere else. Everything would look really used, and
Yeah.
it's such a good movie. Such a
Yeah,
good
and
movie.
the ship's on like the most basic maintenance schedule ever. That
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, they've bodged bits, and it's gone. Oh, that'll hold up till next time, and it's so good.
Jerome says watch The Thing next.
I don't know that Evie could do the thing. Given the opening scene and one of the main tension aspects, no, I don't know that Evie would cope well with the thing.
Thornall being hopefully sarcastic. I'm pretty
I'm
sure
hoping he's being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Well,
Because I read that and I was like, no.
I mean, considering his previous comment, Tharnall, I am illiterate, so it's fine. I'm media illiterate.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think the thing is for you, Evie. Great movie, great horror movie, great gore movie, great just special effects.
Just the
Prosthetics
atmosphere.
was
Like
really
I've
scary.
never
But,
I don't
oh,
really do horror movies. I'm not really interested in watching something to
Kurt
be
Russell got
scared.
real blokey.
So I can't compare it to a lot of other horror movies, but Alien is probably the movie that I've seen that created the creepiest, scariest tension atmosphere. You know, it just builds up and builds up, and
Almost
And
no
the- and
gore
the
in
payoff is
Alien.
worth it.
Tension.
and the payoff
It-
is worth it.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just jump scares. I'm playing Alan Wake 2 right now on my PlayStation, and there's a lot of mechanics in the game that I find extremely tedious. But what really irritates me about it is the main things that I find really scary in it are, and it's trying to be a scary game, but the
Okay.
main things that I find scary in it are jump scares. And I find jump scares so cheap,
Yeah.
you know,
Where
like
they haven't worked to build that tension, and they haven't.
you can
worked
jump
to
scare
just frighten you with
anyone.
music.
You can jump scare anyone if they're alive, you know, like it's wired into us. I don't scare
But have
easily,
a
but of
shadow
course I
just move
jump.
briefly behind
Yeah,
somebody,
well,
and you're like, it's there.
And they do it in
Oh.
the game quite often, where they'll build up a sort of tense thing and then it'll sort of taper off, and you're in a calm environment and the music sort of calms down, and then all of a sudden you get like half a second blast of sound and an image on the screen. And it's like, well, of course when that happens I'm going to go, you
Yeah.
know, and right afterwards I'm going to be angry at you. You know?
That's right. It's like,
I
how
just
dare
find
you?
it so stupid.
But back to Alien.
Yes.
So
Back to Alien. Go
the
Alien.
tension, yes,
So
there's
good.
tension, yes, there's the payoff, but more than anything,
There's a
dadgummit.
cat.
Well, that too. But again, to reiterate, Ian Holm,
Oh, he was so
his
scary in that.
performance is so unsettling,
Yeah.
and it's oh god, from start to
He's
finish,
creepy as hell. Yes.
Yeah.
he's so good. And I'm like, I'm never gonna
How
be
is
able
this
to watch
Bilbo?
Lord- I know I'm never gonna be able to watch Lord of the Rings again because I'm gonna question Bilbo.
But that's the thing, is that the minute you meet Bilbo, it doesn't even occur to you that it's Ash,
True.
because he's so good. But
Yeah.
that character Ash was played just to perfection. Just
Yeah.
to absolute perfection.
He
And you
is
look at
creepy
it,
as
and
hell.
there's so many actors in that film, and you're like, I know that one as well. Oh, and that's the guy from The Thing. That not the thing, but
Not
the movie.
the thing, but
And you're like, wow. Tom Skerritt did a great job. I thought he was fabulous. There is a scene in Alien that's been screen grabbed and memed, and it does take one of the scarier moments in the film and make me laugh every time now, because it's the alien is coming out of a tunnel at somebody, but they've caught it mid-leap doing this, and it's jazz hands. And now every time I see that scene, it just makes me laugh because the alien's doing jazz hands.
and it does, which is one of the funny things about the Alien, like, which you don't necessarily really explicitly clearly see in the movie.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It has hands, very human hands, you
Mm.
know, and you don't really see them that clearly in the movie. Like that bit you're talking
That's
about
the
is
one
like
scene.
is a jump
you see
scare
it
kind
hands.
of, where it's like you see them for half a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry to run, but I do have to go for my.
All right.
Okay, so I'm glad that we got to talk about Alien and how
Me
bad
too.
the
Good movie.
original Star Wars trilogy is and how superior the prequel trilogy is. So
Okay, we're going to have to talk about that later, Evie, because I have.
Yeah.
listen, Derry,
You
I
got
gotta
some
have
work to
flaws,
do on
I
you,
guess.
Evie.
So I can't be perfect, but
You're
You're
getting close.
definitely not.
nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Bye, Evie.
Bye, Evie.
Oh, how good! Seriously,
Would you rank
Wow.
Alien as the best Ridley Scott film?
it's up there for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's pretty damn high
I
on the
would say-
list.
I'm just trying to think, what else could I put it up against?
Wait,
See,
who
I
did
really
Blade
liked The
Runner?
Martian as well.
Who did Blade Runner?
I think Ridley Scott, Blade Runner, Space Odyssey. What were the other big ones he did? They've all got their very bleak kind of.
Yeah, I'm just pulling them up
Washed out.
on IMDb.
And
For
Geiger,
reference.
yes. Oh, the art they used for Alien as inspiration was, oh my God, no. Just.
Yeah.
And I've watched quite a lot of things over the years. I mean, it's old now. There's plenty of documentaries on the making of and things. And there was one on the art that inspired the film. So it looked at a lot of Geiger's work. And they made a big deal of saying they really dialed back on what they wanted one of the undertones of the films to be, which was the parallel to sexual assault, with the alien being this face hugger that impregnated. And
Right.
they really pulled back on it. But when you look at the inspiration drawings, it's there. Like, it's really kind of, excuse the pun, in your face. it's there.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, I
And
went to
oh.
he's the original artist H.R.
Did
Giger.
Gladiator.
He's Swiss, and when I was in Switzerland once, I went to the town I think where he was born, and they have a Giger museum,
Oh, wow.
or
That would have
like
been unsettling.
gallery or whatever, and it's a bit overwhelming because I mean most of his stuff, like the stuff that's directly related to Alien, is just creepy, but
Yeah.
most of his stuff otherwise is also basically erotica.
Yeah.
It's like this weird mix of like naked
But
women.
it's unsettling.
It's super unsettling. Really, really.
Its perspective is
Yeah.
kind of weird, and it's just very unsettling. But brilliant.
Oh, that's interesting. Nico says, according to Ridley Scott, Alien
Ah.
and Blade Runner share the same universe,
okay.
which actually totally makes
Kind of
sense.
works.
It never occurred to me before, but yeah, in Blade Runner, there's all the blimps advertising the off-world
Yeah.
colonies and that kind of stuff.
And that works.
Okay.
Well,
See, I like the fact that Ridley Scott also did The Martian quite recently, and that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
I would not say that myself.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I liked it, but it
I
didn't blow me
just
away.
think
Like
that
that.
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But he really captured that sense of isolation, and I just thought it was so well done.
Yeah, I would have to say my favorite movie is Blade Runner. Maybe one of my very favorite movies, but certainly my favorite Ridley Scott movie. I've seen it I don't know how many times.
I
It's
think
such
it's
a good movie.
Gladiator. I think it's Gladiator for me. I didn't know he did
Yeah.
Gladiator until I
Gladiator's hardcore, yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't skimp. He always puts a
Brian,
massive.
what?
Wait, Brian. Okay, you can't just
Hold up, Brian.
hang
Wait a
single.
second. Yeah,
Hot
hold
take.
on.
Yeah,
Here we
we
go.
have,
Hold up.
we have to hear what you think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just such a huge Blade Runner fan, so
Yeah.
I had to give Darko Caesar's,
Oh, I
some-
see.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I was
mean,
going to say
really,
Blade
people
Runner
could-
being good doesn't make Gladiator bad.
No, Gladiator's
Mhm.
great. I mean,
But
Gladiator's
if
awesome.
you have to judge whether it lives or dies in comparison
it's,
to Blade Runner, yeah, I guess
Here's
It's a bit
the
like
thing,
Spielberg,
like, on
though.
on
Ridley
any
Scott
given-
does class.
Yeah, I mean, on any given day, I could watch Gladiator and maybe like the movie better than Blade Runner, but over 20, 30 years,
Oh, yeah.
I remember Blade Runner. It stuck with me
Yeah.
much more than Gladiator because there's really nothing else like it. I mean,
No,
we could
it's very
probably point
original.
to a lot of movies that are similar in some
Yeah.
regard to Gladiator, but Blade Runner, it's its own animal
Yeah.
altogether.
Capricious
That's a hot
Fox, I may also have to kick you. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a
It's
that's
just-
a hot,
it's
hot
just a
take,
fact.
because I watched the sequel. I was like, this wasn't necessary.
I enjoyed the sequel.
I liked it.
Actually I liked the sequel, but I
It was
mostly liked it for
unnecessary.
the visuals. I thought it was
Yeah.
visually stunning. I don't remember the story hardly at all. I know it's kind of the story of the first Blade Runner, just the Blade Runner is a replicant. And other than that, I don't really remember that much of the story. Whereas Blade Runner stuck with me, like the actual Blade Runner.
And rather wonderfully, the cop in Blade Runner is the Admiral in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I mean, and the other part is the original had Rutger Hauer. So, I mean,
Well, this is true. I'm a
there
fan.
you go.
Oh, you mean the cop that doesn't speak English in Blade Runner?
Yeah, the one who makes the little tinfoil unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The origami cop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what his name was.
I do too,
Um,
but it's played by Edward James Olmos, who I adore for Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, almost is very cool. He's got a lot
Yeah, he is.
of charisma.
I always
He
call him
just- I
Yame
just-
Escalante.
Who? What?
Yame Escalante. Oh, he was in that. He played a teacher. I forgot the name of the movie. And he played a teacher in a low income
Okay.
school, and he was a
Oh,
math
I bet
teacher.
that
And
was good.
they didn't believe they passed the test because of their demographic, and they had
Right.
to retake the test. It was like the SAT or something. They didn't believe how
Uh-huh.
this one school could score that high. It's a
True
remarkable
story,
story.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
going to
true
have to
story.
look for that
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I love him as an actor. I just love him. He
Mhm.
brings something
Gaff.
to the screen that
Gaff is the cop he played in Blade Runner. Thank you,
Awesome.
Nico. Yeah,
yeah,
Gaff.
I just love
That's
him.
right.
He's so good.
Yeah,
So good.
he's got
Which makes me go,
remarkable
Darko,
presence.
He really. Have you seen Battlestar Galactica?
Oh,
The new one.
yes, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yes, I have seen.
As
But
far
that
as
was
a
that was
vehicle for a
that
talent,
was like
my
the-
God.
I watched it last year for the first time ever. I
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
So say we all.
He was so
It's
amazing.
it's
in that.
pretty damn cool. And for the old people in the audience or on screen, have you seen the original Battlestar Galactica?
Yes.
Yes.
And how amazing was it when we get the original Apollo in the remake of BSG and he
Yeah.
comes out of the jail cell and I was like, is that?
That's
Oh
Apollo.
my God, that's him. And I had a full-on fangirl moment in my
Yeah.
lounge. They're ridiculous.
I mean,
It
I have to say that I loved the new series, but honestly, the last couple of episodes did not do it for me.
have you rewatched it since?
No, I mean, but I watched it relatively recently, like Arco.
Okay.
It was kind of one of those blind spots in my sci-fi, series that I haven't read. But I don't know. I mean, I guess there's not a great way to end that, but
I loved the ending. I thought it was
But-
beautiful.
but
Although I
it
did
was-
cry when they all went into the sun.
it was beautiful. It's just like there was some stuff that just didn't. I don't know. The stuff with Starbuck at the end of the last season, and
No, I
Nah.
totally agree, Brian. It was it ended a little.
it was a reach. I mean, they took a
Yeah.
big swing at it, and it probably was a giant grand slam home run for some viewers, and a bit of a swing and a
It
miss.
was controversial. When it came out, it was hugely
Yeah.
controversial.
Yeah.
Was it?
I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it twice now, I think, the whole thing. And I remember thinking both times, well,
I've always really liked the
Oh
end.
yes, Thornall. Shout out to he's talking about Stargate. That's my Stargate. Actually, one of my favorite.
Oh, the
sci-fi
original
series of
movie
all
with
time.
Kurt Russell and
Love-
James Spader. And,
I love the
Totally.
whole Stargate world. Everything about Stargate.
Cool.
it is a good world. Very cool world.
I'm on a project right now where I've been binging things I didn't see when they came out, which are like holes in my nerd cred.
Uh-huh.
And Stargate is one of them because I haven't seen Stargate. I remember like back when it was showing on television, like actual television.
That's when I watched it.
I saw
Me
like,
too.
every now and then like one or two episodes, and I never really got it. I remember there was a Stargate, but
Yeah.
like, and I don't know anything about it.
It's good.
Liked the new Starbuck. I was disturbed when the new Battlestar Galactica first came out. I was like,
I think
Starbuck's
a lot of
a
fans
dude.
were like,
Oh, I
don't
love
know
the
if this is
fact
gonna
that
work.
I
And
love
then
the
Katie
female
Sackhoff
casting.
nailed it. Oh
yeah,
my god!
no,
nailed
I
She
like
did.
at the very beginning. I was like, if you're going to remake Battlestar Galactica, Starbuck is a dude.
Yeah, is this
And-
necessary?
And then once we got a few episodes into it, I was like,
sold.
she's actually a pretty cool Starbuck.
Well, I loved her as a character. I just didn't
Yeah.
love the writing of the events of the final
Oh, her
season.
entire arc
no.
very
There-
creative.
There,
But yeah.
I wasn't crazy about the end
Yeah,
either. I definitely think there are numerous episodes from throughout the entire series that are better than the last couple of episodes.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but overall, like very very high on the list.
Oh hell yeah.
Gaius
What's his
Gaius
name?
Baltar is still one of my favorite characters of any TV show.
James Callis. Because I've recently rewatched Battlestar. James Callis playing Gaius has the most phenomenal acting chops because he is convincing in all of his scenes. When he's deranged, when he looks mentally insane, talking to himself in corridors, when he's being tortured, and you just see everything on his face. He's amazing. And the
Yeah.
fact that I've not seen him in anything else astonishes me.
That is
Because the
weird
man
because he
clearly
was
has
so
talent.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, I could see him like getting cast into something like House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah, easy.
I can absolutely see him pulling a role off. You
Yeah,
know, in a big time HBO level
really
series.
intense, characterization. He's so
Yeah.
good. The flip side is Trisha Helfer, who played Six. She had never acted in anything before. She was a runway model. And she gets given this role that grew exponentially because they
Yeah.
were like, she's actually freaking amazing at this. She can
Yeah.
play all these different versions of this same character. And she had never acted before. And that still blows my mind.
The interesting
That's
thing, I just
insane.
looked him up, James Callis, Gaius. He's done quite a few things, some of which I've even seen, like 12 Monkeys, the TV series.
Oh, I haven't seen the TV series.
I haven't seen the TV series either, to be honest. Bridget Jones's Diary.
Oh, yes, I did see him in that. I remember him in that.
And then
Because he
Bridget
played
Jones's
a very
Baby.
effeminate kind of friend group person.
Yeah, he's done a lot of. He did voices for Rick and Morty,
Ah,
apparently, or a
Oh,
voice.
wow. Okay.
you have
he
to
was-
share Trisha O'Donnell.
He was in
Sorry.
CSI. He was in
Okay.
Arrow, the TV series, which was like the slaughtering of one of my favorite comic book characters.
Okay.
He was
The
in
first
Arrow?
two seasons of Arrow were good.
Yeah, the beginning of
I
Arrow
only
was the beginning of Arrow was
Yeah,
good.
The
good.
first two seasons,
No.
when you had Slade Wilson in season 2, and it was
Yeah.
wasn't it the guy who played somebody in Spartacus? I think was Terminator in season 2 of Arrow.
I didn't watch season 2. I stopped after season 1.
Anyway,
I watched all the episodes.
Did you?
I want someone to do a movie or TV series about Green Arrow from the Dark Knight the comic.
Oh, yes.
Because
that
in the
would
Dark
be
Knight the comic,
wonderful.
Green Arrow is old and bitter.
Yeah, he's not a happy man.
He's super pissed off at basically everything in the
Everything.
world, and he's kind of given up superheroing, and
Yeah.
he's just a bit of an asshole. And I think he would make a super interesting character for.
he has failed his city.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes,
Yes.
Jake, I just
See, he failed the city.
Yeah.
I fail the city on the regular, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's totally like that was the thing that bothered me about Arrow is, first of all, it wasn't. I'm a old school Green Arrow comic fan, and it wasn't the Green Arrow from the comics, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it
the only thing I'd ever seen Green Arrow in the books was Dark Knight, because that was the one I was the most familiar with.
I
So
I
this
used
young,
to
fresh-faced
used to
Green Arrow
buy-
was like, okay, I'm
I
here
used
for
to
some
buy
backstory. Let's-
Green Arrow
And I was like,
comics, like
mm,
the individual, like just Green Arrow
Yeah.
label. The comics. He was one of my favorites.
Wow.
And he used to always, only because they're green, he used to always do tie-in issues with Green Lantern, which was ridiculous.
Okay,
know,
that is
it's-
silly.
It's like
Mm.
I always found the Justice League a little ridiculous, like Batman and Superman.
Yeah, it is. Because
Like-
they're not the same.
So infinite power and a guy who punches people on the street.
Mm.
They're meant to be doing things together.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how that
Mm.
works.
The biggest issue I had with the show is that the way WB or CW does their shows, you have to watch all of them.
Yeah,
there's
'cause
so
they
much
tie in
crossover
It's a
and
soap
everything.
opera.
Yeah, so a lot of it just went over my head if I didn't watch Flash or all the other shows.
Yeah.
So it kind of, yeah.
And it falls
And
off
but
really
it
fast.
started.
when you
It
do that.
started.
You're
I had
like, "Eh,
exactly the same problem with
It
Arrow.
started
right?
with Arrow.
But it started with Arrow. So like you could watch the first season of Arrow, no problem. And then I think around the second season they started with Flash, and then came the other things, and it started branching out. And I was like, I don't want to watch 8 different
Yeah.
shows just to know what's going on.
Right.
Forget it.
And
Green Arrow-
if anything, MCU should have learnt from that and gone,
Yep.
it's not working for everybody there. And yet they still went ahead with this. Okay, we're going to do TV shows that you have to watch to make the next movie. And I'm like, you're kind of losing me here.
The Green Arrow in the comics is a florist.
Yeah.
Only so they can make a really bad pun. His shop is called Sherwood Florist,
Ah,
Such a bad pun.
and he's Robin Hood.
It's so bad.
You know,
Oh,
yeah,
that's so bad.
yeah, and he always had the little, a little twirly, twirled
Little
up
twist.
sort of
Yeah.
goatee and mustache.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
debonair. Very debonair.
Colton has been following my my catching up on old things. I
Do you know,
didn't see
I haven't seen either
earlier.
of those shows.
Oh my god!
The Sopranos is one of the greatest shows of all time.
I know
But-
this, but I
But
haven't seen,
it's Under the Wire.
which I also haven't
I
seen.
disagree.
hanging my head.
Disagree.
Oh
I'm in
man,
shame. I'm hanging my head in shame. I am aware. I am letting
No,
down
I'm just
the
kidding. No,
side.
actually, I have not watched The Wire yet. Actually, I've not watched The Wire.
you haven't watched The Wire.
I'm not alone.
I haven't.
Okay, so
No.
recently I rewatched Lost. It wasn't catching up on things I missed because I had seen it when it was on television, but I had a feeling that when I saw it on television, I didn't get it
Okay.
because it was a very twisty, complicated show, and waiting a week between
you can lose
episodes,
track of what's happening.
it was really easy to be like, were they in the thing, or it was easy to get confused and a bit lost. So I watched it recently. Fitz, you coming down? And
Jeez.
got it this time. It was great.
Oh, good.
The Sopranos
know
I
when it
completely
aired-
missed.
It aired opposite something on the other channel.
Oh,
And
which
I
you
couldn't. And because I missed the beginning of Lost, I was like, well, I can't watch
Right.
it now because I didn't see the beginning. So
that was certainly the bad thing about television back in the day.
Yep.
Like if you didn't see every episode of Lost,
you
especially
would
when you
get
get
Forget
when you
it.
get past sort of the middle of season 2, like
Yeah.
you can just forget it.
Yeah.
You're just going to be lost for a while.
but yeah,
Back in the day, I did not see The Sopranos at all. I think I
Yeah,
saw the first episode and I was bored, and I binged it recently. It was interesting. It was a show where I kept asking myself, "Am I bored of this?"
oh,
But
Okay.
I kept saying, "Not enough to quit." It was weird.
Fair enough.
It was really weird. So Colton,
Just
I would
enough to
say,
keep going. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm a little curious about this and that character and da da da. So I'll keep watching. But I would put Lost above The Sopranos myself, because The Sopranos is basically a soap opera where almost nothing happens, and then
okay.
every now and then someone gets killed.
So like a
Um,
soap opera.
Yeah. It's basically a soap opera about the mafia in New Jersey.
Right.
But it's really a family drama more than anything else. Like
Mhm.
I
actual
did
family,
get that sense.
not
Yeah.
just mafia family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And that
better
doesn't
than both of
surprise me,
those
though,
is The Wire.
But because I think that just Matt, in general, you happen to like mysteries, and where you're
Yeah.
not exactly sure what's going on. Like we're
Yeah.
talking about Book of the New Sun and things like that. And Lost is absolutely that. I mean, just when you think you might sort of have a clue of maybe what's happening, something completely out of nowhere happens, and
Yeah.
you're entirely lost, literally lost again.
The thing I realized is one of the most, I think, popular things to say about Lost that people say over and over again is that it doesn't tie up loose ends, it doesn't explain mysteries, etc. And after I just watched it recently, I can absolutely say that's bullshit. There's
Oh,
almost
okay.
nothing, there's almost no mystery in Lost that pops up that isn't explained in the show.
And so,
So-
the weekly watching is what's given us this
Yeah.
sense of lost threads.
It's
because people
well,
have
and
lost
also
track.
then like the whole YouTube commentary industry.
Yes.
It's really different to watch a show and think about it, or
On your own. Yep.
to watch a show and then watch somebody think about it.
Yeah.
Especially if like it's kind of their job to think about shows. I've been watching commentaries on House of the Dragon every week. Like Alt Shift X is one, and then
See, I don't enjoy Alt Shift X's Song of Ice and Fire content.
I just like
but
hearing the accent.
I love History of Westeros. Love
Right.
them. And so I will happily sit and be part of the chat in a 3-hour live stream with History of Westeros because of the way they discuss it. They always have Sean on, who until incredibly recently had never read any of it. And as he was reading, he would be watching the show. So he would come in as a completely new set of eyes to, oh, well, this is what I saw, and this is what I think is going to happen, and this is why I think that. And then Aziz, who hosts, goes into, that's fascinating. that you think that? Okay, what made you think that? And why do you think that that's going to happen? And so you're looking at literally what you're looking at being fresh. You don't
Right.
assume that knowledge to then theorize. And it's wonderful because Sean, their newbie, is ex-military. So he's able to bring some really good insight into why some of these things are happening with the armies and why some of what they're doing is wrong and why that's not going to work and why that's actually a really good idea that most fans don't have. So he's even bringing, with this fresh perspective, new things to fans who have read it multiple times. You know, those of us in the chat going, oh my God, I never even considered that. That actually makes sense because, and then we all, you know, hear off in our theorizing directions. But it's very collaborative, their
Okay.
discussions of the books. And I really enjoy that.
Chadia, yes, the polar bear thing is totally explained. It's absolutely 100% clearly explained. I think it's in season 3. There, I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen Lost. I mean, Lost is like what, 3,000 years old, so I guess I could spoil it. But basically, the Dharma Initiative, the people doing weird things on the island, they were doing experiments on animals. And there was a specific reason, but they brought in polar bears to test them or to train them to do something. Put it that way. And the polar bears escaped, which is why on a tropical island with a jungle, you have polar bears running around killing things and trying to kill Sawyer.
Talk about a character like Derry was saying, that like Gaius. For me, that's
Yeah.
Benjamin Linus, the guy that played Benjamin Linus. I love
Yeah.
that guy.
And Sawyer
I'm
as well,
Henry
though.
Gale from Minnesota. I'm Henry Gale from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Sawyer as well. I would put them sort of in a similar box because
Yeah.
they're both liars to their core, trying hard to manipulate people to get them to do what they want and to get the advantage and to basically just look up. Well, actually, Sawyer's only looking out for himself. Benjamin Linus has other motivations, you know.
Yeah.
But basically, they're very, very similar characters, played very, very differently and awesome, extremely well written,
Nice.
and no, they're really, really good.
I have to make a phone call. That's why I was taking a photo of me in the thing because my phone keeps blowing up from somebody apparently needing to speak to me immediately. But I will be in the chat.
Okay.
Alrighty.
And,
Cool,
and I
man.
may pop back in video if this phone call doesn't take forever.
Cool.
Alrighty.
I have
All right.
If you
You
don't
guys
make it,
rock.
good to see you.
Really
Absolutely.
good to
And you
see
know
it.
what? When Evie was on too, I was realizing I was looking at the screen. I was like, wait a minute. There's one person that the bell has not tolled for yet that is on screen right now. So Ms. Derry, we are going to have to set something up for this fall.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to toll Derry's bell, definitely.
Definitely.
If you are so willing, I would absolutely love for you to come on the show because I think
Absolutely.
we have lots we can talk about. So
Yeah.
I was like,
We might
look at
have to
this.
have a little cue, like a little paddle that says "shut up," so that you
Yeah.
can just, when I'm talking, go enough.
That's okay. And I was just watching. I was thinking to myself, I was like, wait a minute, I haven't had Derry on the show yet. So I was like, okay, before I get off there, I got to remind myself to make sure Derry knows she has an invitation. We'll figure
I
out
will
somewhere.
definitely.
We'll figure out on Discord when we can make that happen.
Lovely. All right, Brian.
Cool.
Definitely.
You guys rock. I'll be in chat.
See you, man.
Okay, bye bye.
All right, see you, Brian. Matt, have you watched all of Joss Whedon's TV shows?
I'm actually, this is another one that I totally
Yes.
missed out on when it was new, was Buffy. And
Yes.
like Buffy was the same thing. I saw an episode and then I didn't watch it for half a year, and then I saw an episode and I never really got into it. Right now, I am binging Buffy.
Oh, how
That's
exciting!
my favorite. That's my
Where
favorite
are
show
you?
of all time. Yeah,
It's
Oh, see, I knew I liked you, Doug.
and that's
I
me,
knew I
me and
did.
Derry. We're kindred. We are.
I knew I did.
I had a hard time to start with.
The early
Becau-
episodes are a bit rough, but they.
Well, and also
yeah.
the whole thing is just like, it's a fact of the show that
Yeah.
it's campy and cheesy.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
what
It's
it is.
mocking the genre.
Yeah.
It's,
It's
mocking
part
the
of
whole
what the
concept.
show is, right? And
Yeah.
until you get into that, oh, I'm actually enjoying campy cheesiness. It's like
It's a bit work.
you watch it and you're like, it's actually kind of dumb, but I've
Yeah.
gotten over that. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, no, actually, it's a
fun.
lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
always
I
forget
love-
how
I
much
love it.
fun I have watching Buffy until I watch some again. And I'm like, this is just so much fun.
Yeah,
It is.
There's a group of guys who's reacting to it on YouTube at the moment. And they're reasonably young. I'd say they're all in their mid-20s maybe. And the horror in them every time Xander opens his mouth. They're like, oh, this is not okay. Oh my God, that's so toxic. They're like, oh, shut up. Don't just, I love it because I'm like, we weren't aware at the time of how
Not at
toxic some
all.
of this behavior was.
there's
So
a
for
lot
me,
of there's a lot
watching
of
them-
gender role stuff in there
Oh,
and whatever, where
so
I'm just like,
much.
oh my god.
I mean, Xander in
Yeah.
general is just,
Yeah,
but at the time, that was normal. And
Mhm.
so
at
normal.
the
we
time, it was actually
literally
kind of
didn't see
revolutionary because
how
the action hero of the
this
show
girl.
is a little girl. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
And I just find so much joy in watching these men be horrified that was not
Yeah.
only normal, but it was on TV as normal.
Yeah.
And there's something really comforting about that. That see, we're getting better. We're changing.
Yeah, Shouty a Spike. Yeah, and Spike is even worse.
I
So-
love
Nico wants Derry to really squee. I think Firefly. He
Nice.
said just Firefly.
I love Firefly too.
Yeah,
I
Firefly.
have the anniversary poster. I have a satchel bag that's like a canvas, and the inside is lined with the purple floral shirt Kaylee wears, and on the outside are the patches that are on her overalls. So I've got the teddy bear and the flower.
Ah,
And
cool.
It's one of my favorite things. But
Yeah.
I love Firefly. I could probably quote almost all of it from beginning.
Yeah,
to end.
it's one of the great tragedies of television that Firefly was so few episodes.
Yes, it was
So
a tragedy, and it is still
filled
a
so
tragedy.
soon. Yeah.
But it also
Exactly.
meant that what we got was pretty much 14 episodes of perfect and a movie that's amazing. Like there's no filler episodes. There's no, oh, did they
Yeah.
really need the flashbacks episode, or did they really need that episode? All of them are amazing.
Yeah.
And they just get better and better and better. And then they got cancelled. And I'm like, who shat in that guy's porridge that morning?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, now we are strangely enough cool,
I know.
you know? Like
So strange.
being
That's so
being a
strange.
nerd and a geek is totally in these
Yeah.
days, and it's become
It's
almost
very weird.
mainstream. It's very
It's
strange.
awesome.
Like
Yeah.
when I was a
So
kid, I was doing my best to hide the fact that I was a geek, you know.
Me
I didn't
too.
want
Me
people to
too.
know. Yeah.
Oh,
No
everybody
one knew
wants
that
to.
about me. No one knew that about
Yeah.
me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was quietly reading my book and not showing anyone the cover and or talking to them about it, you know.
No.
Or watching what I was watching at home and being really into it, and like the original Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
But not talking to kids at school about it, you know.
I changed schools
Same.
too often to worry about that. I didn't have peer groups to worry about. I was just in my own little world, and everyone I met knew I was a geek because I was always the new kid, and I was always like, well, I'm not changing for you lot because we'll be moving in a year again, and who cares? So people always knew I was weird and into weird shit, and it meant that it didn't matter, and I could watch what I liked. It did mean it wasn't until finding this community that I haven't been able to gush about things that I love since I first started watching them 30 odd years ago.
Totally.
So, you know, this is why there's so much squee
Mhm.
to go around, because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, people I can talk to about it. It's so exciting.
I don't
It's
know
so
about this,
exciting.
but Derry May, wasn't there a scheduling
Oh, yeah.
mess up?
It wasn't so much a
They
scheduling mess up,
did.
but they just didn't care. They went, we don't like that pilot, so we're not going to air it. So we're going to advertise. Well, this bit is hearsay for me because we didn't get any advertising in New Zealand. The advertising in the States apparently was all about what's in the box, what's in the crate. You know, what's the great big mystery about the crate? And then they didn't air the pilot that explains what was in the crate. So they
That's
aired
weird.
the episodes out of order, and it was aired on Fox on a Friday night, which there's a football or a baseball, there's a sport thing that happens. And so the time that it began changed, and some weeks it wouldn't be on at all. And they didn't play episodes. So 3 of the episodes that exist never got aired in its original run. It all got played out of order, and they played the actual pilot last. And then they went,
explains a lot about
bad
why it got
ratings.
cancelled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? You think?
I'd
So
never heard
then the
any of that.
DVD came
I
out,
wasn't aware.
And everyone was like, yay! You know, and
Okay.
you watch that in order, and you're like, how could they have screwed this up so badly?
Yeah.
How could they?
I didn't even know the show when it was on TV. I learned about like when it got on streaming.
I
and
didn't know it
binged
existed.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, well, a friend of my ex, discovered I was a geek, and he was like, "Oh, watch this," and he handed me a not fully legal copy, and I watched it, and I was like, "Oh my god, is there more?" And he was like, "Don't make me cry."
No.
And that began my
Uh-huh.
obsession with it, of looking at, and I've seen so many panels and discussions and interviews. Like, I know where the series was going to go if it had continued for 6 or 7 years. That was the plan. And so all of the things that were being built up that never got to pay off. And it's
Yeah.
oh. And
Have you guys
oh,
watched Lost Girl?
love it. No, I
I've
haven't
never even
watched
heard
Lost
of it.
Girl.
I haven't either. Fox says it's Buffy-ish.
Cowboy Bebop, I have seen the first probably 4 or 5 episodes, and I was like,
The live action or the
no,
original?
the original, the anime,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I see it. Definitely in the vibe, like it's very much a vibe that I
Yeah.
see
Okay.
Yeah.
for Firefly.
There aren't that many concrete
No.
similarities, but there's certainly vibe
There's a vibe.
similarities.
There's
Yeah.
definitely a
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
But and with Whedon though in general, have either of you seen Dr. Horrible's sing along blog?
Yes.
No, I've seen that.
Speaking of
Okay.
Joss Whedon.
Yeah, I would Google that when you get off here, Darko. It's a thing they released on YouTube during the writer's strike, basically. And they did it, all of their people did it for free. And the only thing they've ever made money on from it is the soundtrack, because it's a musical, it's a sing-along blog. It was released in 3 parts, and altogether it's under an hour. It's like 40 minutes. And it has Felicia Day in it, who I adore. Neil Patrick Harris is in it, who I adore.
Oh my god!
Nathan Fillion is in it, who I adore. And
Wow.
I can't think of the guy's name, but he plays Howard in The Big Bang Theory. He's in it.
Oh my god!
It's just this little, very clearly no budget thing that they made, and it's wonderful. I
have to
laughed
watch
so hard watching it the first time. I nearly fell off my chair.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's like, what? Oh,
It's hilarious. And at the time, it was such a weird, like, because the writer's strike, I mean, this was back
and
in
they
the
just released
90s.
it to the
Back in the 90s when the web was also kind of a new thing
was
still. And
Hmm.
the writer's strike was killing a lot of, or like keeping things from turning up on TV.
yeah.
And then just in the middle of it, this thing with a really stupid name turned up.
Really
And you could only
stupid.
watch it on a web page. And everybody was like, what? But it went around, like everybody watched it.
Wildfire. It
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
glorious. Nathan Fillion has said in years to come, he said, it's the only role I've ever had where I was asked for more cheese. So I thought that was really funny because you can see it. There's definite cheese.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
very enjoyable.
So, Derry, you talked about Felicia Day, so you know you have to bring up Supernatural.
Of course.
Yes.
I have all the DVDs. I have seen it so many
Really?
times. I love
Oh my
show.
gosh.
I didn't watch it though for the longest time because Jared Padalecki had been on Gilmore Girls, and I didn't like
I
the
didn't know.
character that he played on Gilmore Girls at all. I was like, I don't like him. I just don't like him. And then the ads for Supernatural started, and I was like, now that sounds like a bit of me. And then they showed who was in it, and I said, I can't watch it because I will not give that guy a fair shot because I just don't like him at all. So I waited for about 5 years, and then I binged it basically and caught up really fast.
Yeah.
And then, and yes, now it is one of my all-time favorite shows.
Me too. And I didn't watch it until season 9.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't watch until season 9, and it is one of my I think it's my second after Buffy. Of like
I
greatest
just
shows
love
of all
it. I
time.
love.
Yeah,
There's such a humor in it, and it's the self-awareness in the same way that Buffy has.
right.
That we're going to sort of take the piss out of ourselves and remind everybody that even we're not taking it that seriously.
Right.
I love it. I just love that so much. Oh, fun fact, if you are a Supernatural fan, Rowena, the lady who plays Rowena, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, and Richard Speight, who plays Chuck / large
God.
entity, who is the big one, and they are now married and have a little girl.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
The little girl was born just a few months ago.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, those of us who are perhaps a little too obsessed have been congratulating them for a while now. When they got together officially, because we'd all been kind of going, "Are you guys a thing? Because you're together a lot." And they admitted it about a year ago. And they're like, "Yeah, we're seeing each other." And then she was pregnant, and now they're married. And it's like, yay!
I love it.
So because
So,
Jared's married to Ruby. So.
I'm curious about Thurnall because I liked season 6 and 7. I mean, I like all the seasons. I think season 11 is one of the best, actually.
Season 11.
Some of the hated seasons.
Season 11. Yeah, season 11 is one of the best.
Season 6,
yeah,
all about Dick. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was season 7. Season 6 was Soulless Sam. Season 6 had the episode with fairies, and that was brilliant.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah,
I liked that one. That one was really funny. But yeah, and that's the thing. It's like even when they were trying to do Scary Monster of the Week, it was still funny.
It was.
Because the guys just had that kind of energy.
Season 12 had the Scooby-Doo episode, which
I know, and that was glorious.
Awesome.
Because that had been a meme for so many years, where you had the Winchester's car and you had the Scooby wagon in the same parking lot, and people were like, "Shit's going down." And then they did the crossover episode, and all of us lost our freaking minds.
And we did.
Oh.
My brain exploded.
It was so
Scooby-Doo.
great. Yeah, Scooby-Doo on Supernatural.
Scooby-Doo on Supernatural.
Scooby-Doo.
Oh yeah, that was a fun episode. I don't watch a lot of Supernatural, but that was a fun episode.
That was
I'm a big
so
Scooby-Doo
good, man.
fan.
Hi, Britain.
Hello, Matt.
Britain, what's up, boy?
How
Oh,
you
you
doing?
know, I finished Lonesome Dove last night. It's pretty it was epic, as the kids like to say.
And cheerful.
Oh yes, a very wholesome,
Very is.
all-American.
A lighthearted,
Very,
uplifting adventure.
It is.
Or at least it starts off that way. It gets really sad in like the middle towards the end.
It doesn't even start off lighthearted and uplifting.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That sign bit was freaking hilarious.
That was hilarious. That's true.
Yeah, it was.
The sign at the beginning was pretty.
And they still
pretty
bring
funny.
it up, even at the end of the book.
Yeah,
Well, they carry it
that
around
was,
with
That
them.
was a great part. That was a great
was
part
great.
of the book.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't all bad. Because, like, the whole time I'm like, God, I just feel empty right now. But Amazing Grace bagpipes, and then he brings up the sign, and I'm like, this is great. I love this book. It's not all bad.
That's right.
Okay, if there are vampire episodes in Supernatural that make fun of Twilight, I might have to watch it.
Oh my God, yes, all the time.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
They do.
Okay.
All the
They do.
time. They mock
They do.
Twilight.
Somebody,
all the time.
somebody who was it? Was it Jared Henderson? No, it was somebody else. Somebody was talking in a BookTube video about Vampire Diaries, the show.
Isn't that one of those like
And-
soapy vampire shows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it totally surprised me that this person was actually talking. It was someone like Jared Henderson, where you don't expect them to be talking about a trashy soap opera with vampires. And they were going on and on about how it actually had amazing characters and story and all of that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, oh, might have to watch that, but I never gotten around to it. Nico is also asking if anyone ever watched Chuck.
My
God,
friend,
I love
one of my
Chuck.
friends
I've watched
watched
Chuck. Chuck was awesome.
Chuck was
Yeah,
great.
that was a great.
And
show.
Levi, I can't think what his last name is. The guy who's in Chuck. He's amazing. He had a really good role recently in the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, that's on
Mhm.
Netflix, I think.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he was great. Zach Levi is his name. Zachary Levi.
Yes,
Yeah,
Rogue.
He's fabulous.
I
I
you know, I
totally
don't.
understand.
July Johnson isn't even that bad. Quit being an ass. All right, like, he's not even
July-
that bad.
July. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not a bad person.
He's
Like
not
Jake
bad,
though.
but
He's-
Jake
he's
is
not
the freaking
Jake.
worst.
He's not Blue
he just
Dog,
he
but
just has no
he's,
spine. July has no spine.
he's just
whatsoever.
completely passive.
Yeah, July's kind of a rube, but he's not a bad guy.
He's just
I
like-
felt bad
he's-
for him.
He's useless.
I felt bad for him. all
I
right?
also feel bad for him, but
Mm.
I didn't miss him once he was gone.
Now Elmira and Jake, they're the freaking worst.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just absolutely repulsive. Like McMurtry tries to make you feel kind of sad during the one scene, but I'm like, bro,
No, not really.
No, Elmira.
In that scene,
yeah.
I felt sad for Gus and Cal.
yeah.
I didn't feel
Mhm.
bad for Jake.
I was about to say I'm trying to like be vague because I don't know if
Yeah,
Gary's
yeah, yeah.
ready.
I don't want to get into
Yeah.
I read
detail.
it a
but-
really long time ago, and all I
Okay.
remember is really enjoying it.
It's
Like
good.
if the name ever came up again, I was like, that was a good book.
Yeah.
And yet now, this many
Gus
years later,
McCrae
and-
though, he's definitely one of
Mm.
he's on my all-time favorite characters list now. But I'll wait till we have the conversation on.
Yeah. It is.
I-
a
We're
great,
still
it is
playing
a
on the
great
10th,
book.
or
Yeah, we're playing on the 10th.
Yeah.
Actually, for anybody who has read Lonesome Dove, we had a read along which is pretty much ending right now. Britton was one of the last people, I think, and just finished it. And we're going to have all of the booktubers that were involved in that read along are going to do a chat together, and it's like 6 of us, I think, on August 10th. But of course, there'll be announcements and links and all that sort of stuff coming up.
Okay,
True
I have to
Blood,
comment
yeah,
on
okay.
this. I read the books and I watched the first season of the show, and a character
True
in the
Blood.
show doesn't die, who does in the books, and it just
Uh-huh.
made such a massive diversion
Yeah.
of story. I was like,
You
nah,
mean
can't
in-
watch it.
In Lonesome Dove, or in
No, True Blood. True
True
Blood.
Blood.
I
Okay.
think.
Yeah. I read the
Spoiler
books.
alert. I think
Yeah.
Lafayette. I think.
Lafayette, yeah.
Yeah, he dies in the books.
He dies in
Right.
the books,
Okay.
and he becomes a really
Mm.
important character in the TV show. And I tried to stick
Yeah.
with it. I was like, it's all right, just pretend they're different things, and I couldn't do it, and stuck.
I
with the
love
books.
True Blood. Yeah.
I didn't know the
I love
books,
show.
and I watched the show years ago and really liked it.
I mean, I
Also-
was kind
also
of, I
cheesy,
was
but
obliged because
super
she's
fun.
a Kiwi, so
Right.
Mhm.
it was in our contract as Kiwis. We all had to watch, at least the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you know who was also a Kiwi? Carl Urban.
many. Yeah, I
Well,
know.
you, but also
Yeah,
Carl
I know.
Urban, who apparently
and-
played.
And
Appar-
Anthony Starr is also a Kiwi.
Oh yeah, he is.
Both of the
Apparently,
lead actors in The Boys are Kiwis.
Apparently, Urban was
Yeah.
Woodrow Call in one of the adaptations of one of the Lonesome Dove
Really?
books. Yeah, I looked
Yeah,
that up yesterday.
He was a very young man. He was a very young man.
Oh, okay.
And he does play a cowboy quite well. So
Yeah, but I mean, you can't play Cal young. Doesn't make any
you'd
sense.
be surprised. Carl Urban is a surprisingly talented actor.
He's a good actor, no question. But like, if I saw a Lonesome Dove where Cal and Gus were young, I think they'd done something wrong.
Mm.
Because they're totally not meant to be. But yeah,
Yeah, no,
It's kind of
they're both
funny,
really
I
amazing.
looked at the miniseries the other day, and seeing Tommy Lee Jones. Apparently, I looked up; he was only 43 when he made that, and they like
Oh, I like that
made
sentence
him-
from
made
such a
him-
young man.
made him look older.
Yes,
and I'm like,
Rogue.
he's looked older for like the past 20 years, if that's the case. I don't know.
Okay, I just have to go. Yes,
being
Carl Urban's dread was perfect because the helmet stayed on.
Yes.
So
that's
that was a real problem with the slide
Which-
version.
which also has nothing to do with him. Like anybody thinking that they're going to make a Judge Dredd movie and they put it in the script that the helmet comes off,
Needs to walk away
you
because
have
they don't
you
know
have
what they're
not
doing.
made a Judge Dredd movie. You have
Yeah.
failed at the one thing you were meant to do.
And Lena
um,
Headley's in his version of Judge Dredd as well. She's the bad girl. She's the bad guy.
She's great at playing bad guy characters,
Yes,
though.
she
In that
is.
one, she's just psychotic.
She's like a drug czar.
She's
and
not as like I want to punch you in the face like with Cersei. I mean, I don't condone.
No,
hurting
she's just
women.
overtly the
I don't.
head of a drug ring. And
I don't.
yeah.
I don't condone punching ladies in the face. But if you punched Cersei Lannister in the face, I'll give you a pass.
She needed a slap at the very least. Yeah,
Yeah.
but she kind of got hers. I mean, she doesn't.
I'm waiting for
out.
wins because I need that
Yeah.
to go differently. And I'm,
Yeah,
fairly
Me too,
positive
Derek.
it will
Yeah,
go
me-
differently. So,
Yeah, I really hope.
Yeah.
So. I'm praying.
yeah. I mean, he did kind of assure us at the time that the changes are all guaranteed. That's not how the books are going to go. So I'm like, oh, good.
Yeah.
The
Even
John
if they
Wagner
end
Dread
where
is
they
pretty
end,
good,
it's
from
like,
what I
okay.
remember. I've read John
Mhm.
Wagner's Dread, which is considered by most fans to be the best Dread comics. So do with that as you will.
Yeah, there are so many. It used to be like Judge Dredd originally came out in, what was it called, 2400 AD or
Yeah.
something. It was like a British comic, but it was in a newspaper
don't-
format, which I
I don't
remember
know. I
buying
don't
it when I
think
was a kid.
Cersei can love
It was
anyone.
really funny. But it was mixed in with other dark future stories. And then it became a thing of its own. So there are lots of Dread comics. I'm just looking at the one I have. I have a big bound up, which is just called Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
And it's a bind up of a lot of them. 2000 AD. Yeah, sorry, Rogue. I was not as deeply in the nerd culture of England and the UK as I'm sure you probably were.
Yeah, all those British comic nerds are always like, yeah, 2080.
British
fucking
comic
great.
nerds, no thank
It
you.
is.
Bitches.
Nothing wrong with British comic
DC
nerds.
fucking sucks. You know, I like 2080 though.
2000 AD is great, and compared to it, DC and Marvel were baby stories.
Yeah.
You should.
It was pretty damn dark.
Hey, the British guys like our comic books too.
Of course,
You remember?
of course. But I was like totally blown away when I was a kid and I discovered 2000 AD.
Yeah.
After reading, X-Men and stuff like that, I was like, what? People are making comics like this and I'm allowed to buy them at my age?
Yeah.
It was
Well,
fun.
because grown-ups were like, they're comics. We don't need to be paying attention to
Well,
what's
they're
in
comics.
those.
I realized what I said when I said it, Rogue. I know you're not British. But the whole UK scene of comics. 2000 AD is at issue 2392. It's been around for a while. Yeah.
I think it's been around since the 80s, am I right?
Maybe even longer. I'm not sure. I mean, I discovered it, I think, in the 80s.
Oh, well, that's clearly when it began. So
Yeah, exactly. Nothing existed before.
nothing interesting happened before then. It's all fine. So
I do like those French comics from Moebius, though. Those are always fun.
Moebius. Yes.
Moebius.
Yeah. The Inkle.
French.
no tomato.
The Inkle is a series that Moebius did. And it's awesome. Anyone who hasn't read the Inkle should read the Inkle. INCAL. It's really, really good. And Moebius is just like Moebius's visual style, even if you forget about stories, is amazing. I love his work. I think he got big back in the heavy metal days. There used to be a comic, but a magazine called Heavy Metal, and it was basically soft porn, but it was comics.
Yeah.
Or it was soft porn allowed. It wasn't only soft porn,
No,
but it was comics. It had breasts and intercourse and stuff in the comic stories. But Moebius was one of the big guys. It was primarily French writers and artists back in the day. And that was also one that I could buy at a surprisingly young age. Because comics and possibly illegal. And the comic shop that I was buying from probably shouldn't have sold it to me, but they did.
No, probably not.
And Heavy Metal, it was...
No, because comics have become more heavily censored. As those of us who've been reading comics for a long time have got older and go, these should be censored because these weren't appropriate.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I made the point a while back, but it's kind of funny knowing like back in the day, science fiction, noir, and like fantasy was considered like pulp trash, so you could kind of get away with a lot more in Like, could you imagine someone writing a literary novel like Gore? Has anyone ever heard of Gore here?
I've read I don't know how many Gore novels.
Can you imagine someone like Philip
Gore,
Roth doing Gore?
For those who don't know Gore is a really it's basically an excuse to write soft porn. It's the idea is that at one point humanity on our Earth discovers that there is a planet directly opposite Earth on the other side of the sun
Right.
in the same orbit. Right, so
Yes, I think I know now.
We've never
Yes,
been able to
yes.
see it, and a guy from Earth goes there and becomes a warrior hero, and it's basically a sword and sorcery thing where a lot, if not most, women are slaves.
There's a
And
whole faction of like it has its own label within the BDSM community based on gore. So yeah.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
And it's spelled G-O-R, not G-O-R-E. Yeah, Gore is I read some of those when I was a kid, and even when I was a teenager, I read a couple of them and I was like, does this actually ever get good?
Get out.
No, it doesn't. And there were, I don't know how many, like there were 15 or 20 Gore novels. Slave Girl of Gore and something, and they were all called something of Gore.
I have not read
They
the
were
Lucifer comics.
Pretty bad.
Which is kind of sad for me to admit, because I like a lot of that early Vertigo stuff, like Sandman and Preacher, and Transmetropolitan came a little later.
Oh, Transmetropolitan's so good. I
yes, it
love
is.
Transmetropolitan. Speaking of comics, and Hellblazer. Yeah.
Preacher. I love Preacher personally.
Preacher, like I was very disappointed in the TV show. But
Same.
The comic is amazing. The comic of Preacher
I
is
didn't
so,
know that there
so
was a
good.
TV show.
Yeah, they did.
They
it.
basically
It's
took
on
all
Netflix.
the stuff that made predominantly the vulgarity of.
Oh,
You see-
okay.
You see, Preacher
Became a different thing.
Preacher is like Transmetropolitan. The vulgarity is what makes it work.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Now, if they had it on
no,
like
it was-
HBO or Showtime, I'm sure they would have, gotten away with a lot more.
It's one of the wonderful things now, though, with HBO and Showtime and Netflix and Amazon and Prime and all of these things, these streaming services that go, we're going to adapt that and we're going to try and do a good job. They often don't succeed, but they try, which wasn't always the case. It was more, that's a premise we could use. But now they do.
I thought when I saw that they were bringing it out, I was actually cautiously optimistic. Because I thought Preacher would make an awesome show potentially. There's bits of it where you'd have some special effects challenges, but overall it's a really cool story. I mean, the basic idea is that there is a preacher, a guy from Texas who's a hard drinking, swearing preacher, and he is given by something the power of the word. And that basically means he can tell anyone to do anything and they will, or they must.
That's a thing.
Then he realizes that he has not gotten this power from God, that God has actually been absent from heaven for a while, and he goes to find God and kick his ass.
Okay,
And
I like that
God-
premise. I
And
do like
God's,
that
I do
premise.
too.
and God's
I
a
do
huge
too.
jerk in it, and
With his hard drinking Irish vampire buddy.
Oh, okay. I'm a fan
and-
of this already.
Yeah, no, it's so good. It's so good. It's really, really
Definitely a
good.
fan.
now you might think this is pretty silly, but it's actually really good.
No, it sounds amazing.
Now
This
I
was
will
not
say,
mockery.
Seth
They
and
go,
Evan learned their lesson from Preacher and went to Prime and did The Boys, and they got where they could get away with a lot more, violent swearing, and made a show that was more appropriate, because The Boys
Yeah.
is also a very vulgar,
In your face.
profane series.
Yeah. It's I think Ithra is behind us by about half an hour. I don't think
I think
Ithra
so
is
too.
actually watching this live
Yeah.
because we're getting reactions from things we said at least half an hour
Yep.
ago.
At least because Evie was still here, we were talking about Galaxy
Yes, he
Cruiser.
is still Irish.
I
in the
grabbed
show, if
Lars
remember
Hammer.
right.
Cassidy is Irish in the show.
It's actually one of the better
Um,
parts of the show. They really, I thought-
Although I'm just trying to think, is the actor actually Irish? Because I vaguely remember thinking, wow, his Irish accent isn't very Irish. Like Irish accents are, as far as I'm concerned, one of the hardest accents to do well if you're not actually Irish. And yeah. Yeah.
kind of reminds
No.
me of when I tried to guess your accent, Matt. I was like, is
Good
it
luck
Irish?
with that.
And you're like, no, it's Australian. I'm like, oh, okay.
A
with
lot
a
of
bit of this,
people, a lot of
a lot of
people
that.
guess Irish, which is hilarious to me because I've actually been to Ireland and I have a lot of Irish friends. And I'm like,
Yeah.
my accent sounds nothing like Irish. If you think I'm Irish, you haven't ever heard or spoken
Real
to an
Irish.
Irish person.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, my accent isn't anything like
Wow,
that.
you're getting the actual issues? Oh man, I bet that's so much money nowadays. Hold on.
Well, he says I was,
Well,
so I think he's
Yeah.
talking about sometime in the past.
I'll talk about a steal. I got issue 32 of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing because it's one of my favorite.
Okay, that's impressive.
One of my
Alan
favorite
Moore's Swamp Thing
single.
is
One
awesome.
of my
Yeah.
favorite single issues of that series. It was
Ithra,
like it was like a
Ithra.
You're
dollar.
so far behind.
Can we-
I love reading Ethra's comments.
can we time travel back to Ithra and tell him to like fast forward to the end and start
We just
actually
need to
listening
quit
live?
And go, dude, you're a long way
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a dollar. Like it wasn't that much money. I was like, I'm taking this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogue agrees. I assume that Rogue being Irish is reacting to people thinking my accent is Irish.
Sadly,
It's
they didn't.
Yeah.
totally
Sadly, they did
bizarre.
not have the anatomy lesson. I would love to have the anatomy lesson, but sadly, they didn't have it.
Yeah, DK, you can. They also now have big bind ups of Preacher, and I think there's 3, and it's the whole thing or something like that. They've got big, pretty thick ones. You can get those because you really need to finish Preacher. Preacher is one of the comic stories that gets the most amazing as it goes on. Like the beginning of Preacher is good, but it gets really good about halfway through, and towards the end, it's really, really, really good. Yeah.
All right, guys, I gotta run. Got a 4:00 thing.
I'm actually
Alrighty.
getting to the point where I think I might actually call it as well because Fitz needs food soon.
Fair enough.
Oh,
And there's
yeah.
nothing more important than that. She will start coming over
Not
here
at
and
all.
blowing me. Yeah. So
Just
yeah,
as we tell us to catch up with us, we're going to go.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just going to catch up
funny.
with us. We're already going to be gone for at
You
least half
see
an hour.
ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you get to this, Ithra, welcome to the end.
Yes. Thank you for your commentary, Ethra.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
it's
We
been
enjoyed
fun
we
reliving the
enjoyed your
conversations.
totally out of sync comments.
Oh, glorious.
Okay. Yeah, Ithra says catching up. Yeah, sorry, Nico, no cat content right now. I'm putting content in my cat.
Yeah. You have to
shortly.
read all the cat content.
Yeah, exactly.
Get cat content.
Anybody who's watching this on replay, also thank you for watching, and maybe come back live
Constantine,
next week
Constantine.
if you can. Constantine is awesome. Hellblazer, yeah.
Do that one.
But I would say, if you're trying to decide between Hellboy, Preacher, and Constantine, start with Hellboy.
Hellboy's pretty good too.
Hellboy's awesome. Like the actual main story
yeah.
of Hellboy. There's a million other things.
Yeah, branches and offshoots go all sorts of
Ping
places,
me
so-
on Discord, Colton, if you want some guidance, because there are a million sort of side things for Hellboy, but the main story is
Pretty solid.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm a fan of Constantine.
Preacher and Constantine are also good, but I would say even Preacher is better than Constantine.
Better be.
Preacher is
Well,
blow
Garth
you
Ennis
away.
also did
Awesome.
Hellblazer. Apparently, some of the best. I haven't
Yeah.
read his. I've only read the real famous one that they based the movie on, even though that's not really Constantine. It's like
I liked that
Constantine
movie.
fan fiction. It's a
I
good
thought the
movie,
movie was all right. Yeah.
but they miss
adaptation.
one of the things that makes Constantine Constantine. The dude
It's
is
his family
British.
passion.
The
Yeah,
dude
but
is British.
I'm prepared
Yeah.
to give Keanu a pass on that one because he got the rest of it right.
Fair enough. Fair
Like
enough.
I was
Yeah.
quite
Keanu,
impressed with
Keanu
him
could do
because
no
he
wrong. Keanu, he could
Yeah,
not
man.
do.
And
do
if you're
wrong
gonna
there.
if you're gonna do an
did.
adaptation,
Swinton, my God, she was perfect.
if you want to do an
Yes, she
adaptation of a
was.
movie and you want it to be successful in America,
There needs to be something.
don't have a British protagonist, and definitely don't make Keanu Reeves try and do a British accent.
Yeah, no, don't
So-
do that. We saw how he tried to do that in Dracula. It-
Dracula. it was
I
bad.
thought it was actually a pretty good movie. I was also disappointed that like Constantine is a blonde British guy.
Yeah.
That's just who
But he got-
Constantine is.
He
But
got the feel of it right. And I
yeah,
was
yeah,
impressed.
it felt like the character, other than being not blonde and not British. But yeah,
Which are, let's face it, reasonably external things to the story.
yeah, exactly. I didn't mind that much. But if I was going to say Colton in order, I would say read Hellboy, then read Preacher, then read Constantine.
I'll give you
Um,
Hellboy. I'm going to argue with Preacher.
Hellboy's
I haven't read Preacher,
awesome.
so I'm not fully conversant.
Hellboy
You
with
should
the
read
story.
Preacher. You should read Preacher. Preacher
It does
is
sound like I should.
it's way up there on one of my best all time comics. It's
Okay.
amazing. Anyway, Darko needs
Oh,
to
yes, that's
go.
right. We were leaving.
Fitz wants food.
Right?
So thank you for joining the pub. People on screen, good to see you all
You're
again.
very welcome.
Thank you, everybody in the chat. It wouldn't be the pub without you.
Absolutely
And
not.
I will see you next week. I've got a thing coming up, which Nico and I are actually going to see each other in person again
Ooh.
relatively soon, but
Ooh,
I think that's
awesome.
in 3 weeks, or I need to check. But next week we're definitely on for the pub. So
Excellent.
see you all later.
Alrighty.
Have a
All
good
right.
Bye,
week, have a
everyone.
good evening and a
Bye-bye.
good week.